Hey there, just thought I'd put together a little video about how to set your bike up for the Finke Desert Race in Alice Springs with a mate of mine, Caleb Auricht. He works out of his shop in Alice called Motor Mechanics. So if you need any setup tips or any advice or work done in preparation for this year's Finke Desert Race, Caleb's your man, and here he is.
Alright, so here we are with Caleb Auricht, bit of a Finke legend. He's doing a bit of work on my bike, and I'm just going to chuck something together to explain, or Caleb's going to explain what's really needed to get through Finke as an amateur.
Yeah.
Take us away.
Well, the biggest thing is getting the chassis set up for the Finke. You need a good steering stabilizer on your bike. When I say chassis, we're talking suspension, steering, and wheels. That's sort of, to get yourself a good base is very important. And on this motorcycle here, we have the Scott's steering dampener. The Scott's has been around for a long time, and but there's a lot of brands out there.
MSC, is that any good?
MSC is a really good dampener. Yeah, so
I guess
got your steering. You want to get yourself a good pair of handlebars that are comfortable. So these are a rental twin wall handlebar, and
I guess for me, starting at the front, tyres. What are you looking for? Pressures, tubeless, non-tubeless, moose?
Absolutely. You want to run yourself a good enduro tyre. There's options. You can run an ultra heavy tube, and probably your tire pressure's up around 17, 18 psi because of the high speed and the rocks and the big hits. If you can afford it, a moose tube is beneficial. I've been using moose tubes in the last 5 years of Finke racing, and I've never had an issue with the front. As a flat, that could leave you sidelined and affect your whole day pretty quickly. In the rear, I don't like to use a moose in the rear just because of the heat. The rear tyre generates a lot of heat from wheel spin. So as long as you've got a good desert tyre on the rear and an ultra heavy tube, that works pretty good. There's a few different brands with desert tyres: Michelin, Pirelli, Dunlop. You just got to find something that other people have used or test with, get a bit of feedback, and then you sort of know where you're at there. Steg pegs is a must on the Finke, and even the Hatter, they work really well. As soon as you apply high speed, wind pushing against you, you have a lot of stress on your shoulders, forearms, and lower back. By having a steg peg, you can lean against them and just give your arms and your shoulders especially a bit of a break. But it also allows the bike to really load the back wheel and squat.
And the pressure in the back, if you're running a tube, you'd be looking at that 17, 18 again?
Yeah, absolutely. You will, the back tyre especially, because so just say if I was starting off at the start line of the Finke with 16 psi, as I'm riding it may generate up to about 18 or 19 psi. It'll always increase as the tyre warms up, but that's okay because I've been testing like that and I've been running those higher pressures, so I sort of know the feedback that it's going to give me. You got to
suspension.
So to go with suspension, you've got to have a good set of springs. When I say a good set of springs, you've got to have the spring rate set for your weight, and that'll get a good balance with the bike.
Which is what we've done in this one. We've just chucked a set of Race Tech springs in this. Caleb's all set it up for me.
And then we're running the forecaps pretty well flush, and that's giving you a longer wheelbase. We've got the rear wheel back a fair way as well, and that allows it to so a bit further back from centre, and that just gives it good stability also. This rear shock has had a bladder fitted to it, and also the correct shock spring for Nick's weight.
And then in terms of compression, rebound?
The biggest thing with that is starting off about in the middle, and then you can do testing, and then you've got either way, you can go harder or softer. We've also adjusted the oil height, put a bit bigger air chamber gap in the fork, and that allows it to be a little bit more supple and plush up as well. Being the EXC, they're leaning towards a desert sort of a setup anyway to start with, opposed to like an SX or an R, where they're more set up for a motocross and a supercross. So this bike here was really easy to set up for the fact it's an enduro bike and it's already on that direction.
Cool. And in terms of the essential things to do before the race, kind of redo your fork seals. You don't want something cheap and little like a fork seal. Finishing your race, do your oil.
Absolutely right.
Preparation's the key, right?
Preparation is key. You want to start the event with fresh tyres, fresh suspension fluid, good seals. In this fork we've actually used the SKF seal, which is the best seal as far as a low friction. The design of it, they've just put a bit more engineering and development into it, and for the high speed and you need that fork to react and respond very quickly, that's the seal of choice.
Beautiful. And as far as the bike, this is, you know, as an amateur, this is about as good as I'm going to get, I think.
300 TPI two-stroke, the engines are unreal. Because the design of them and stuff like that, you get longer hours with your pistons and all that, opposed to the earlier model two-strokes. You used to have to rebuild them every 20 hours or so, where this one you can push up to 50 or 60 hours and then put a new piston in it. So yeah, it's definitely a good bike to
gearing. I guess we didn't even talk about gearing, did we?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
critical point.
Definitely. Sprockets. Another thing is just doing a bit of testing. This is the 6-speed transmission, so the worst thing is to overgear it, but you don't want to undergear it and lose out on those big straights on the Finke track. So
we're running a 1346.
Correct.
Potentially going to be looking at a 1446, but you know, this bike is pretty quick and scary enough as it is.
I think that's going to give you up around 140, 145 top speed, possibly even more, but depends on how heavy the sand is. When it's hard pack, the bike can pick up a little bit more, might go up around 150, but yeah, it's again, it's just with testing and yeah, getting a base.
Beautiful.
From there.
So as far as the bike, that's pretty much set. Now, what are the critical things that I can do, or an amateur or even a rider can do for themselves in terms of nutrition, fitness, hydration, everything?
That's hydration is key. Not just leaving things to the last minute, doing a bit of exercise, doing some core workouts. When I was really into it and shooting for, you know, the top spots, medicine ball workouts, that was the biggest advantage I thought that I had. It really focuses on your core, your shoulders, and also your hands.
Drink heaps of water.
Yeah, drink heaps of water and
lay off the grog beforehand.
A little bit of that's okay, but no, yeah, I think it is beneficial to get here and do a bit of testing and
drop in and see Caleb at Motor Mechanics here. That's his shop. You want your bike tuned and sorted out by one of the best in the biz. Caleb's is the man.
I've got 18 Finkes under the belt now, and yeah, I don't know.
Lots of top tens.
Still enjoying it. Yeah, lots of top tens and multiple class wins. But yeah, I just enjoy it, and I love helping people get set up and get out there and sharing what I've learnt over the last 18 years. And
awesome. Well, thank you so much, mate. And we'll get this baby on the track and see how we go. All right. See ya.